Hey everyone, Alex here, and today I'm going to tell you how you can spend 4 days on the island of Okinawa, Japan. In this video, I'm going to take you on the highlights, I think, of Okinawa. So 1 day in the north part of the island, 1 day in the central part of the island, 1 day in the south part of the island, and 1 day focused all around Naha, where the airport is. I will say that this video does depend on you having a car. Maybe someday I'll make a video where you won't have to have a car, but for this one you definitely do. Let's jump right in and get started with the north part of the island for day 1. So when you're up here, I would definitely recommend staying in the Nakijin area or Kori Island. They're both really pretty options. If you want something maybe a little bit more urban, you can stay in Nago, but the north is all about nature, so I'd recommend staying in Nakijin or the Kori Island area. For breakfast, I would stop at a cafe somewhere cute by the water, there's tons of them, and then I would make my way to Tataki Falls. Tataki Falls is a really great waterfall hike. It's about a mile, so you can spend about an hour to 2 hours there depending on how much time you spend actually at the waterfalls. It's open every day from 9 with the last entry being 4 p.m. We have gotten there at like 4:15 before and they wouldn't let us in, so definitely make sure to get there before 4 p.m. When you're there, you can rent water shoes and life jackets, and you will be getting wet, and so you definitely need water shoes and wear clothing you don't mind getting wet. Sometimes it's closed during bad weather or if it's after a really heavy rain, so make sure to check their website before you go to make sure that they're even open on this day. There is a full parking lot and it costs like 500 to 700 yen to park your car there, and there are also, I think, coin showers and there are bathrooms as well. After having an amazing time hiking at Tataki Falls, I'm going to send us to the aquarium. So for lunch around this time, I'd recommend either stopping somewhere by your hotel if you want to freshen up, or there are a couple places along the route from Tataki to the aquarium that you can stop at. The first one is called On the Beach Cafe. There's also Nakijin Soba. Look out, it's closed on Tuesdays and Thursdays. There is Kuru Mebe Kitchen Tamaya, which is a shrimp restaurant on a shrimp farm, so it sounds pretty cool. And then there is the Kalin Cafe. All of them got good reviews on Google. So I'm sure if you've been researching anything about Okinawa, you have seen things about the Okinawa Turami Aquarium. To enter the aquarium, it costs $2,100 for adults, and the last entry is 4:30 in the afternoon. Right around here, like I said, there's tons to do. There's a tropical dream center, there are dolphin shows, there's a recreated Okinawan village you can walk around, there's a oceanic culture museum, and look out because a lot of things close between 5:30 and 7 in this area. Good news is that during this time, it's also a really nice place to watch the sunset. For dinner this night, I'd recommend grabbing something near your hotel, like having a reservation, because a lot of places close around 5 or 6. But just some little recommendations I have is this yakiniku. I saw it in a magazine and got really good reviews. And in Nago, you'll also find some chains like an A&W at McDonald's, and I think there's a Hamasushi there as well. So if you want a little chain restaurant fix, you can go to Nago. Near the aquarium, I've also seen a place called Motobu Chicken, which closes at 7:30 and got really good reviews. But yeah, in the northern part of Okinawa, I will say a lot of things close a little bit early, so make sure you have a plan for dinner, or you might be stopping at a Lawson's, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So that's already a full day in northern Okinawa. Now there's tons of stuff to do up there, so let me give you a little bit of extra tips of things that you can do if you have a little bit more time or you want to change out some of these things on the itinerary. So the first thing I would recommend if you want more nature stuff is to go to Gorilla Chop. This area is one of my favorite snorkeling spots on the island. It's really great, it's very protected, and it's a really popular place to go if you have the equipment. I can also recommend a drive up to Cape Hedo, and there's also a park there with some really cool history attached to it and some really good views. This is all the way at the very tip of the island, so it does take a little bit longer to get up there in a car. There are also several kayaking companies up here where you can kayak through mangrove forests, and I haven't done that yet. It's on my list, but I can recommend some companies below in the description. If Tataki Falls feels like it might be a little bit too advanced of hike than what you want to do, there's another alternate waterfall hike that is called Hijio Falls, and this one is more on a wood walkway with a couple of stairs. And when you get to the end, you cannot go actually into the waterfall like you can at Tataki, but it's still a really pretty view, and you still get that jungle-like experience without having to hike through a river and on rocks and things like that. While you're up there, you can also visit the Nakijin Castle ruins. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it has some nice history surrounding it. And during the wintertime, they have a cherry blossom festival. So if you're there during like February-ish time frame, you can definitely check that out. If you've seen the Netflix show Blue Zones, then you also know that Okinawa is a blue zone, which means that there is a large number of people who are over the age of 100. A lot of them are concentrated in this one village up north called Ogimi. So if that's something you're interested in, if you Google it, there are blue zone tours in that area, or you can really just go to the village, check it out, maybe go to a restaurant or something and have a blue zone meal. That's definitely an option when you're up near Tataki Falls. There are also a lot of parks in this area, so you could visit the Nago Pineapple Park. There's also the Neo Park. There is a place called Photo Jungle Land, which is a place where you can take a lot of Instagram-y type photos. And then for the adults, there's also the Orion Happy Beer Park. Okay, that was already a lot to do, so let's move on to our day 2, which is focused all around central Okinawa. For breakfast, I would recommend grabbing something at a cute cafe up north again, or something along our route, which would be something like Diamond Beach Cafe, which is right on the water and has some pretty good breakfast options. Now, I personally don't think you can visit Okinawa without snorkeling or diving, so that is what we're going to do this morning, is to do some snorkeling. So you can either buy some stuff, bring your own stuff, or there are a lot of dive shops right in this area of Yomitan where they will bring you on a snorkeling or diving experience. This is a really good option if you don't know how to swim and you just need someone to show you where to go and still have a really good time seeing all the fish, or if you just don't have any stuff. A lot of these dive places also offer introductory or fun dives, which means you actually don't have to be certified to go on a dive. They'll pretty much like hold your hand the whole time, be right next to you, so you get a feel for it and see if you like it. And it's also a really good way to just like try this new thing without paying a lot of money or time to get certified. Either way though, whichever one you choose, I'm sure a dive shop could bring you to a less busy spot that's still just as good, but one place that I like to bring people who are here for just a couple of days is Cape Maida. This includes the Blue Cave area, and it is such a good place to snorkel. Even when it's busy, I think that you still get such a good experience, and there's still so many fish that are there. You can pay to park here. It's about 100 yen per hour, and I think it only takes cash when you leave, so make sure you have some coins with you. They have coin showers, there are lockers there, there's lots of vending machines, and sometimes there's some restaurants that are open. And all in all, it's just a really pretty place to even just walk around. There's a little walking path, and you can have different views of the cliff sides from there. To continue with that ocean theme, I would recommend that everyone takes a visit to Sango Batake, which is a local coral farm, and they are working really hard to rebuild after the whole facility was basically destroyed from a typhoon a couple of years ago. It's a little bit expensive because it's paying for so many renovations, but it's 900 yen for adults, and so far they've been able to plant about 80,000 coral into the ocean, so they're doing a great job rebuilding that ecosystem. And as you walk around their facility, you can learn a lot about coral and what they've been doing, and it's a really cool place to visit, and it's a very pretty area. Right across the street from there is a really good lunch spot. It's called Gala or Gala. There's a whole bunch of restaurants right there. I can recommend Nakumi Kitchen as a good place to go for some burritos. And if you're not in the mood for that, there's a lot of other good places to eat in Yomitan. Just a couple that I can recommend to you are Bloom Coffee Okinawa for sandwiches, the Gunjo Cafe for some pizza, or Jacopo's Pancake House if you didn't have enough pancakes for breakfast. Next up, after lunch, I would take you to the Southeast Botanical Gardens. Now, during the wintertime, they have illuminations at night, which are actually really, really pretty and popular, but I normally like to go during the day because during the day you can feed all the animals. 3 times a day, you can feed the monkeys, and they have those times posted on their website. And then normally during the day, during normal hours, you can feed capybaras, which are amazing, and you can spend as much time in there as you want to. There's also a bird enclosure where you can feed birds, and then there are some smaller animals you can feed, like tortoises and these little gerbil hamster type of guys, and some rabbits. This park is pretty big, and it's a beautiful place to walk around for sure. It's split into 2, so make sure you go on the other side of the park because there's a really big bamboo forest that you can walk through and get some really pretty pictures, and it's usually way less crowded over there. For dinner and drinks in Central Okinawa, you kind of have 2 options. So option 1 is the Gate 2/Koza area. This is definitely more party oriented, a little bit grimier, I would say, but like in a fun way. So you don't want to be on the main strip, but if you go on either direction, you can normally find some really cool local places to hang out and eat and have some drinks. There is a covered arcade on that street, and I think that it is probably still recovering from COVID, but it is a really cool place to just kind of go through the winding maze of this arcade and find some little places that look interesting to you. There's also a big Echo in this area and a couple little karaoke bars to the sides, so if that's what you're looking for, you can have a really good time. The second option would be American Village. This is still a really fun area, and it has a lot of late night shopping options as well as tons of bars and restaurants that you can go to. It's a little bit nicer for sure than the Gate 2 area, and it's definitely a little pricier because it is on the water and it is very nice. There's also a big Echo there if you want to get your karaoke fix, and every Friday at 8 o'clock they have a fireworks show over the water, so that's really nice. If I was looking to stay in Central Okinawa for only one night, I'd probably stay close to American Village, or I would stay somewhere up in Yomitan. I have a few extra things in Central Okinawa that I can recommend to you as well. First would be to take a pottery or a glass blowing class in the Gala area. There's a couple shops right there that you can reserve a class. There's also the Yomitan Pottery Village, which is a popular spot to go and buy some local pottery, although there is one in Naha that's a little bit better. The Zakimi Castle ruins are located in Yomitan and are also a UNESCO World Heritage Site with a little museum attached. I've also made a video on how to spend one day in the Yomitan area that I will link for you below in the description. Okay, let's move on to day 3, and this is where we are going to drive south. So first I'd wake up in American Village and definitely have some breakfast there. There's some really good pancake houses as well as places to get more of an American style brunch like Eggs Benedict and things like that. So definitely eat breakfast over there. And then from there we're going to drive to the Peace Memorial Park. This large park is built on the site where the Battle of Okinawa ended. It's free to just walk around and enjoy the beautiful views and see a lot of the memorials, and you can pay a little bit more money to go see the museum that they have on site. It was newly opened, I think, in 2021, and it is really well done. You can definitely spend 1 to 2 hours there just on its own. There are definitely limited food options on site, but there is one little snack shack that is selling Okinawan soba and ice cream if you do need a little treat. If you are more interested in this type of World War II history, I did make a video that I can link below where I list 4 Battle of Okinawa sites and how to visit them. For lunch, I would have us drive 10 minutes to Okinawa World. Okinawa World is kind of like a little Okinawan culture theme park, and it costs 2,000 yen for an adult to enter and 1,000 yen for children to enter. Besides having some little cafes and restaurants and I think a brewery or distillery or something like that, they have tons of other things that you can do that relate to Okinawa. So several times a day, they have traditional Isa drum shows as well as a Habu snake show. They have lots of local craft experiences, and they have a really, really large cave that you can walk through, which is really cool. I think you can easily spend a good chunk of the afternoon here. Their website recommends 3 to 5 hours, which is a little bit long to me, but definitely like 2 to 3. Across from Okinawa World, if you are interested, is a place called the Valley of Gongola. This is a significant archaeological site as well as a holy site in Okinawa, and it can only be accessed via a guided tour. The last tour is at 4 o'clock and it lasts about an hour and a half. It is all in Japanese, but they give you a pretty extensive English guide, so we thought it was totally fine just doing it like that. They also have a really cool cafe inside this giant cave, and you can only drink there if you have a ticket to go on a tour. So make sure you have your ticket for the tour, and then you can take some really cool pictures having a drink in this cave. From there, I would take us to the Umikaji Terraces. They have so many little shops and restaurants right there. It's really cute, it has a really pretty view of the ocean, and they also have one of Okinawa's only hot springs. So if you go online, it's called the Ryukyu Hot Springs, and they have a really pretty view of the ocean, and in one of their large tubs, you actually look at the landing strip of the Naha airport, so you can just chill in the bath and like watch the planes land, which is pretty cool. I will say this facility is no tattoos, so don't waste your time if you have any tattoos, because they'll like specifically ask you and look at you. You could easily watch the sunset on the terraces and have dinner there, or you can drive into Naha to have dinner there. I would personally drive into Naha and then go to the Norengai area, which is like a big indoor food hall with lots of different options, especially really good Okinawan food. And then I would just have some drinks from there and then have my last night be in Naha. I have a short list of other things you can do in southern Okinawa if you have some more time or want to change up the itinerary. The first one is the Ryukyu Glass Village, which I think is a good place to take a glass blowing class as well as buy some Ryukyun glass. You can also visit the Seifa Utaki, which is a UNESCO site as well as the most holy site on the main island of Okinawa, which is pretty cool. There are also a large amount of golf clubs and country clubs in this area if you wanted to book a tea time and have some really pretty views while golfing. And there's also something I found called the Uwaga Jungle Nighttime Exploration, which is like a nighttime safari in this area, and that looks pretty cool as well. Okay, so day 4, and we are in Naha. And I built the itinerary like this so that your last day is in Naha, and then you wake up and you're close to the airport and you don't have to deal with traffic. It just will make your life so much easier, trust me. I would recommend staying somewhere near Kokugzai Dori, which is kind of the main shopping street, and I know there's tons of hotels right there that wildly range in price. There's lots of little cafes there where you can grab breakfast, and then after breakfast, I would recommend really just walking around that main street. There's tons of little arcades to explore and lots of shopping and different foods to try. The Makishi Market is a fun place to go. The first floor is all a giant fish market, and if you want to, you can choose a fish or a crab or whatever and buy it, and then they'll prepare it for you there, and then you bring it upstairs to a restaurant when they will cook it for you. There's also a place that always has a line. It's called Pork Tamago Onigiri Makishi Market. So if you see that and there's not a line, I'd recommend you try one. There's also some good thrift and secondhand shopping in Naha, like some smaller, more curated boutiques for clothing as well as antiques and even some American antiques. And I made a video all about thrift shopping in Okinawa that I will also leave in the description below. If you want to get more into some Ryukyun history, there are 3 UNESCO sites actually located within Naha that you can visit. The first one, and probably the most popular, is Shuri Castle. And many people know that this burned down, I think in 2019, and they are still reconstructing it, but buying a ticket to this area will help with reconstruction. And you can also see that they've done so much work to rebuild it exactly how it was. And so visiting it, I think, is still worth it. And also the garden up there has some pretty good views of the city, which is nice. Right across the street from Shuri Castle is another UNESCO site called Tomaden, and these are the tombs from the kings and queens and their children during the second Sho dynasty who lived in the Shuri Castle. A little bit farther away are the Shikina-en Royal Gardens, and this consists of the royal guest house and vacation home to the royal family who lived in Shuri Castle. This is a really pretty place to walk around. I was actually very pleasantly surprised when we visit this area, so definitely have a look if you are a fan of gardens or want some nice little nature while you're in the city. Not a UNESCO site or anything, but there is another really pretty garden in Naha, and it's called Fukushuen Garden, and it is a Chinese garden. It's super Instagrammy, and it closes at 9 p.m. Some places I can recommend for dinner or lunch, really, are the Kokugzai Street Food Village. There are so many options here, and you can really try a lot of Okinawan food here. The Norengai, like I mentioned, is super fun at nighttime, so I'd recommend giving that a visit. And then my favorite ramen place is down there. It's called Ichiran. It's actually a chain from Fukuoka, but it's super good. Like, I'd recommend eating it anyway if you want a ramen fix. For late night food and drinks in Naha, I would put in my Google Maps bar BGM or Arachiya. That whole area is under the arcades, and I think that it's really cool at night, and there's some cool bars and restaurants for you to explore. Arachiya is a really popular izakaya. I think it's a chain, or there's at least several of them. It's really good, but it is always really crowded. So some Naha extras, some honorable mentions. We have the Okinawa Prefectural Museum. It is an art museum and a history museum, and it's a really good place to learn all about the history of Okinawa, starting from ancient times up until now. There is the Tsuboya Pottery Street, and so this is a really, really cute street with tons of different potteries all along it, and everything is really varied. There's tons of different styles as well as different price points, so it's a really great place to walk around if you have the time. There is also the, I'm gonna butcher it, Naminoe Shrine, and it is pretty close to the ocean, and there's not many Shinto shrines that look like this on Okinawa, and so if you are not in Japan for very long and you want to see a Shinto shrine, this is a good one to visit. Okay, that is already 4 whole days in Okinawa. It just goes by so fast. There's so much to do. Those are just like my really general highlights that I would recommend in the northern, central, and southern parts of Okinawa. You can obviously customize an itinerary any which way, and I hope to make more videos about Okinawa soon. I really hope you enjoyed this video and it helped you a little bit. If you have any Okinawan recommendations, please do leave them in the comments below. I'll see you in my next video, but until then, happy planning. Bye.